Just very quickly, Your Honor, do we have Mr. Jenkins' witness statement? Or perhaps? And if we could go to the third page, please. Mr. Jenkins, directing your attention to paragraph 13, which Mr. Rottenborn had you look at just a second ago.
Yes.
He read the first sentence of that witness statement.
Right before the Christmas party, I believe. Correct.
And finally, you weren't in the penthouse of the Eastern Columbia building on the night of May 21st, 2016 with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, correct? Pregnant and sober that weekend?
Wasn't my information, wasn't my knowledge.
Were you aware that Amber's sister Whitney threw up in a parking lot that weekend?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge and understanding, Mr. Jenkins, there's nothing wrong with wanting to spend time with your friends at a music festival after being abused by your husband, right?
What abuse?
That's not an abnormal thing to want to be around your friends, correct?
She was partying it up with her friends. She was partying it up.
And you said you didn't hear anything about, she didn't say anything to you about domestic violence having taken place, correct?
Nothing in the car pertaining to that.
Would it surprise you that she might not want to talk to someone who had worked for her husband for around 23 years at that point about domestic violence? Would that surprise? This is false, correct?
It's just inadequate as far as the location. The location is not below the penthouse. It's not on Broadway. It was found on Broadway by the
document. And Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to read you what you wrote in paragraph 13.
Okay.
A way to see documents that.
No reason to doubt it. It came from Sean.
Okay.
No
okay. So Mr. Bett told you that?
The boss is out there.
Right. Mr. Bett told you that he was tending to his mother that night?
He didn't say mother. He said the boss was out there. I'm aware of what the situation was. The time I witnessed it.
And what did you do in response to Ms. Heard being sick at Coachella?
I collected her, got her in the vehicle. She didn't want anyone else to know that she was pleasant, cordial, very respectful.
And so in your time working with Mr. Depp, did you ever observe Mr. Depp's and Ms. Heard's interactions with one another?
Yes.
And can you describe those interactions generally, please?
The door is massive. It's a wall of glass behind them. The light is absolutely fine. You couldn't get better.
All right, I have nothing further.
All right. Is this a witness subject to recall?
I think so. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Connolly, since you're subject.
And I would, Mr. Connolly, I'm asking you questions about the fourth one down. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's not very clear though.
I'm going to objection. The document is hearsay. I don't know what the exception would be.
Okay, hold. If you want to come forward, let's.
And that was the sort of condition Mr. Depp was in when you saw him at the house, correct?
Yes.
You don't have dates for those times that you saw that, right?
I don't recall. No, you're talking. That's a long time ago. You know. It's
right. And you testified in the UK in this. You testified in the UK, correct?
Correct.
And you gave a witness statement too in the UK, correct?
Correct.
And you never testified to seeing any marks, bruises, or injuries on Mr. Depp. Isn't that right in the UK? Our plaintiffs exhibit 380A?
I don't believe there are any recordings from Australia in evidence, Your Honor.
I don't have anything in evidence.
There definitely is. It's just of Mr. Depp. We can.
I don't have 380 in evidence.
It's 380A.
They would have been at the ground somewhere.
But they didn't go into the house on March 8th, correct?
I don't know. I never seen them in the house.
Okay. And so when you arrived at the house and went in, was it just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard?
Just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard.
Okay. And
There
before
may
you,
be someone else there. I never visibly seen anyone else. I wasn't there long enough to chat to anybody.
and when you arrived at the house, you could hear a ruckus, correct?
Yes. Well, yes, I could hear. I could hear. Definitely hear something through the door. Yeah.
But you said the door was so thick you couldn't hear the actual words that were being said. Is that right?
No, just a shouting.
And then you went in the house and saw Mr. Depp in the foyer, correct?
Yes, correct.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
That's what words I recall hearing as I'm getting Johnny out is, yeah, just fuck off with your guys. You're fucking covered like you always do. Crazy.
Are you going to move on? Okay.
Yeah,
All right, next question.
I think you've generally described for us the kinds of things Ms. Heard was saying. How would you describe her overall demeanor when she and Mr. Depp were in each other's presence in the house in Australia?
Good days and bad days.
I'm sorry, I mean on that particular day.
On that particular day, I had never seen him in the house on that particular day. The only time I seen Miss Heard and Johnny in that house is when I arrived there to extract them.
And how did Ms. Heard seem to you when you saw her on that day, when you arrived to extract him?
Crazy.
We were in the presence of Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in the house in Australia. How far away were you from Ms. Heard?
All right, Mr. Connolly, I'm going to put you in the lobby for our break. Okay, I'm going to come back and put you back in about 4.
Keep this private. Let's start walking towards the caravan. Let's take this away from here. As I'm walking ahead, just going ahead, I can hear sort of bickering behind me. Johnny's trying to talk in his.
Occasions when you suspected but didn't know for sure that he was under the influence of cocaine.
Well, again, due to the training I had in the HMP prison service, it just seemed a bit.
This was coming from?
Upstairs, just upstairs.
Okay.
She wasn't on the lower apartment with us, so I can only imagine she was upstairs.
Other than the cigarette lighter and the soda can, anything else similar to that you observed?
No, I can't say no.
Did you ever observe any physical injuries on Miss Heard?
Never, no.
How about on Mr. Depp?
Yeah, yes. It started off with maybe a scratch once in a while, a swelling, but it got more. It got more. Yeah, I'm not talking. He was marked every week or every 2 weeks, but yeah, he sustained marks. Yeah, definitely. He was getting marked.
And can you describe?
Do you know what? I don't recall. I think it was in LA.
Okay.
I don't actually recall.
Okay.
I am familiar with Miss Heard, yeah. I first met Miss Heard in probably 2000, and I don't recall the actual date, probably about 2010, maybe around there. She came into the UK to do a promotional job for a movie called Drive Angry. My boss, Jerry Judge, asked me to take the detail. Went and met Amber, started the job. Amber was with her ex, Tasha, and I looked after Amber for a week. Pleasant week, it was fine, great.
Does anything stand?
Sorry, yeah. After that week, I never seen Amber again until we did the Rum Diaries. the premiere after show of the Rum Diary.
Okay, so let's move to the Rum Diary then. When did you see Ms. Heard? How did you see Ms. Heard in connection with the Rum Diary?
Committed something to the organization, and I'd like to pay that amount. A person can do that.
Now, was it your understanding with the letter from Mr. White that Mr. Depp was making a $100,000 payment on behalf of Amber Heard towards her $3.5 million pledge?
Yes, that gift from was in connection with the amounts that Amber had said that she wanted to contribute to the organization.
All right, and it's been your testimony, I think, that there was an error in not including that in your sales force. Is that correct? Check. Do you see that?
I do.
And then Mr. Romero responds to her, says, thank you for the response. We will cap the check. But that means you have, quote, overpaid for this year, as you wired $350,000 and then the $100,000 from Mr. Depp. So you can keep track that where you are on the overall amounts. Do you see that?
I do. Many people.
So the answer is you didn't ask her about that, did you?
I did not ask her that
I
question.
guess we'll have to. Did you ask her about the nightmares she had about Amber Heard and why she had what the substance of her nightmares were about Amber Heard?
No, I did not.
Your Honor, counsel for Ms. Heard is now taking over the questioning.
All right, thank you.
Exhibit number 1, this is page down 2866. It was introduced as well by counsel for Mr. Depp, but it's easier for me to just jump into this one.
Organization. That's a reference to Ms. Heard's representation that she.
Hold on, I'm just making it a little bigger. Okay, yes, I have seen this document.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation?
Stacey Sullivan had at the Washington Post. And so she reached out to him first about placing.
The first email, Exhibit 41, from Stacey Sullivan to Jessica Weitz, says,
All right, let's go ahead and
payment, and there's differing terms that are used in that. I'm not sure we would use the term soft credit. We might refer to another way now. After
date June 12, 2017, completed $500,000. What does that mean?
That's the record of the Vanguard.
And that she was going to pay the full $3.5 million, correct?
It isn't the case that she didn't object to that she was going to pay the 3.5. It's just that she didn't object that was her plan as of August 18th, 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Let's move to the next page, which is 4681.
About gifts in particular, whether they are restricted in a certain way. And so that's why the term designation is used. And here,
the Fidelity funds, correct?
Yes.
Because you've already testified that Ms. Heard was not the original source of the funds for the $500,000 Vanguard contribution.
There was one more payment of $350,000 that came from Fidelity Charitable. So it looked to be from a donor-advised fund at Fidelity.
And when was that donor-advised Fidelity payment made?
In 2018.
So
we
that
on a number of occasions that this was something that she was going to be looking into.
But she didn't do it, did she? Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document, Exhibit 24, before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is
Weir writes, I'll keep you in the loop, but definitely hold the check until we get clearance from Amber. Why would the ACLU need clearance from Amber Heard before it accepted $100,000?
the development department. That is the team that maintains the overall donor database, the then PIDI, now Salesforce database.
Hey, is the ACLU, correct?
Yes.
And the press coverage, among other things, enabled the ACLU to promote its work helping victims of domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
Specifically, how does the ACLU record donations?
We understood that the other $3.5 million, the other half, was going to a document that we produced that Elon Musk emails Anthony Romero regarding the $500,000 contribution.
What did Ms. Heard tell Mr. Romero or the ACLU about her donation and how much she was going to contribute?
There were communications back.
True?
True.
When you say that Mr. Depp, our client, donated $100,000 to be credited toward Amber Heard, did the ACLU in fact credit that $100,000 toward the $3.5 million Ms. Heard promised to donate to the ACLU? Did you receive your JD from Columbia?
I did.